It's time, and you've tuned into the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello, and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. We got a great show planned for you here today. And I will tell you, I am so proud of two ladies who have really done some special things this past week. And we're going to talk about those two ladies right here on the show. Want to thank our sponsors and thank our underwriters so much for being with us here today. The Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by our friends at Hubie's, the Tavern and Restaurant on Avenue A in Turners Falls. Want to thank our producer, John Meisner, also Philippe Simone. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for being able to help us out with all the camera work. And also, we want to say thank you to Chris Collins at the FCAT down in South Deerfield for carrying our show. And, of course, we do this every week right here on GCTV. And I can get you a lot of information every week if you tune in on local sports for all these children. Let's get started. And, boy, I'll tell you, I couldn't be more excited about what we're going to talk about today. And that is, we're going to talk about two special girls who did something very special at their schools this week. But not only that, we're also going to talk about all the other great athletes and all of the fun things that they were able to do over the last week. We really are into the heart of the fall season right now. The teams are ready to rock, they're ready to roll, and we're ready to rock and roll for another week. Let's get started. Well, back on Monday last week, Cassidy Wozniak, she ended up recording a hat trick. And it was a nice win for them as they knocked off Holyoke in girls field hockey. Turners Falls, the Thunder, with a nice win. Amber Taylor also had a goal and 2 assists to lead the way for the Thunder in that nice victory. The nice thing is those two teams, they ended up battling for second place in their division right behind Southwick. And it turned out to be a big victory for Turners Falls. So a nice win for them as they knocked off Holyoke in that Bi-County League field hockey showdown last Monday. Amber Taylor opened up the scoring 1 minute, 29 seconds into the game when she scored on an unassisted goal. And then Holyoke came back and they ended up scoring as well 6 minutes into the game. Then Wozniak broke the tie at the midpoint of the first half with an assist from Taylor. And all of a sudden, the Thunder never looked back. Wozniak scored an unassisted goal 3 minutes into the second half. Then Taryn Thayer ended up getting a nice corner shot. She ends up getting a goal. And boy, the Thunder were underway. And they rocked, they rolled, and they win 5-1 over Holyoke. Well, if you talk to their head coach, Becky Dame, she says, quote, "She was very involved in 4 of our goals today. Wozniak has really done well, but what about Amber? You know, her and Amber, they've been moving the ball very well together this season. I'm very happy with the team's effort and play so far." She also said, "We have a long way to go. We started off kind of slow in the first half of this one, but we really started to pick things up. If we play like we did in the second half, I'll tell you right now, we will be okay." Dame was pleased with the second half defense effort as well. She says her defense really picked it up and helped control the game, and it surely was a big help too from Haley Green, who ended up with 4 saves in the win for the Thunder. So congratulations, Thunder. They win 5-1 over Holyoke last Monday. Frontier picks up a shutout against Longmeadow, and that's with a big E in front of it. That's right. It was a big second half against East Longmeadow as Frontier ends up winning that one 4-0. Frontier started slow. They led 1-0 at halftime, and then they really started to pick things up. Their head coach, Missy Marhar, says, quote, "We just started taking shots in the second half. We only had 5 shots in the first half, but we really did much better in the second half. We ended up having 16 shots in the second half compared to 5. Now, that is a big difference." She said, "We started to find the goal. People started to put the pressure on the pads, and that's what helped us pick up the victory." You know, it was a nice win for them. Lily Spencer scored from Emily DeMeo at 4:41 in the game to be able to kick things off. Olivia Vasilio ends up picking up a goal. Also, DeMeo picked up a goal herself, and then Vasilio picked up her second goal of that game with 2:38 to play. You know, she said some nice things about Emily DeMeo. Says, quote, "Emily is a freshman, and to see her get her big goal and see the way that she has really stepped up to play with these new varsity players this year has been great." And what about Skylar Berniski? She ended up with 1 save in the shutout for the Red Hawks as the ladies win last Monday 4-0 over East Long Meadow. Well, the Pioneer girls, they end up picking up a win, 1-0 over Athol in field hockey back on Monday of last week. Sophia Walker ends up getting that nice goal with 7:50 to play, so a nice job from her. Sydney Unitas ended up assisting on the goal, and Pioneer, not bad. Hey, they're getting things rolling. As of last Monday, they were 2-1 on the season. Well, Frontier, they continue to be able to pick up those wins in tight games when it comes to soccer. And I can tell you that Tim Barrington ends up scoring in the 13th minute of the game to pick up a 1-0 win over Central. After losing its opener to Belchertown, Frontier has gone 3-0-1 as of last Monday. And you know, if you talk to their head coach, Evan Horton says, quote, "I think we are starting to come together. You know, what we need to do is we need to continue to do the right things. And if we can continue to work well with the ball and be able to pass and make plays, then we're going to be okay." Frontier picks up the win. Horton says, "I thought it was a pretty even game. I thought we pushed the tempo a little bit better and controlled the midfield well. Central, well, they have some talented guys up front who really tested our back line. But our defense worked really well together, and I'll tell you, they pick up the win, 1-0 last Monday. Frontier Boys Red Hawks Soccer. All right, they're doing well right now. Pioneer, there you go, Pioneer Boys Soccer. Big win for them. It was a big second half as Pioneer moved to above 500 for the first time this season with a 4-1 win over Granby. The Panthers scored 3 goals at halftime, pulled away with the 4-1 victory. Jack Loud scored 2 goals and an assist. On another from Pioneer was Joel Embry. He ends up tallying 1. And Garrett Cody, the senior, ended up getting his first goal of the season. That was a penalty kick after coming over from the golf team. So this kid right here is one of the best athletes in their school. He comes and joins the soccer team this year, and Garrett Cody does notch his first goal as well. Noah Keith had 2 assists in the win, and goalkeeper Julian Trenholm, this young fella, only a freshman, ended up with 3 saves. You know, their coach, Don Frazier, said, "We got off to a really sloppy start, but Jack Loud really stepped up, took over the game, got everybody else involved, and boom, there it is. 4-1, we win." Franklin County Tech, they end up picking up a 6-3 victory. Their boys program is doing very well right now. It was the first night last Monday under the lights at the Franklin County Tech School for their soccer program. And you know, when you talk to their head coach, Kurt Richardson, he said, quote, "It was a great atmosphere. You know, it was so great to play under the lights. It was nice for the kids." Ruben Galvis ended up scoring, getting things started. He had 2 goals on the night. Also, Jake Burnett and Ryan Campbell each tallied before intermission to give the Eagles the advantage, and they are doing well. Matter of fact, right now, the Eagles are 4-1 on the year as of last Monday. I could tell you that Anthony Baroloni, also Galvis, Giovanni Reggiano, Campbell, Burnett, they're looking good, man. And Grayson Funk ended up with 4 saves in the net for the Tech School as they are continuing to roll in soccer. In boys golf on Monday, it was Frontier. They are a team to be reckoned with, and they proved it again against Hampshire Regional. Final score was 20.5 to 3.5. Let's run down how it went. Medalist of the day was Kyle Maynard for Frontier. Mikey Corduff ends up with a 39. Gunnar Moore with a 43. Rowan Blair with a 45. Kalen Evans with a 48. And Brian Bauman with a 51. This team is legit. In boys golf on Monday, Savas took on Mohawk, and Mohawk wins this one 16-8. Your medalist of the day was Andy Robertson of Mohawk. Will Guyette ends up with a 53, Tristan Lacrosse with a 54, Ben Thompson with a 57, Aiden Drury with a 71. In field hockey, we talked about how well things went, but Mohawk took on Southwick, and Southwick ends up winning on Monday 3-1. I do have some information in this one. Caitlin Johnston ended up with the lone goal for Mohawk in the second half. Emma French ends up with 3 saves, and also Cordero Kendall ends up with 3 saves for Mohawk. The girls end up losing last Monday to a very good Southwick team. Also, we can let you know that in field hockey on Monday, Belchertown ended up beating the Franklin County Tech girls. The only information I have is that the Franklin County Tech's goalie, Boleno, ended up with 4 saves on the day. So there you have it. Some good stuff right there. What about some girls volleyball that happened on Monday? Mohawk taking on Wacona. Wacona ends up winning 3-2. Here's how it went. Wacona wins game 1, 25-7. Mohawk wins game 2, 25-19. Wacona wins game 3, 25-20. Mohawk wins game 4, 25-22. And then Wacona wins the 5th and deciding game 15-6. Ashley Reynolds ends up with 5 aces, 6 kills, also 4 assists and 2 digs. Jordan Rice ends up with an ace and 10 digs. Octava Crawford ends up with an ace, 4 kills on the day. And Ellie Patnode ends up with 2 aces, 2 kills, and 2 digs for Mohawk. Well, Chicopee ends up beating Greenfield in girls volleyball. Final score was 3-0. Chicopee wins game 1, 25-6. They win game 2, 25-14. And then they win game 3, 28-26. Lexi Rao ends up with 4 aces and 7 assists. Also, Denise Monajo ends up with 2 aces and 1 kill, also 3 assists. Kelsey Richardson with 4 kills. And Caitlin Moore ends up with 7 digs for Greenfield. They end up losing the Chicopee in girls volleyball 3-0 back last Monday. Well, in girls volleyball, we could tell you that Belchertown ends up getting beat by the Turners Falls Lady Thunder. Final on that one was 25-19, Turners in game 1. Turners wins game 2, 25-19, and game 3, 25-22. Pioneer Valley gets beat by East Hampton 3-0. That was in volleyball back on Monday of last week. East Hampton wins game 1, 25-17, game 2, 25-10, and they win game 3, 26-24. Central knocks off the Franklin County Tech School in girls volleyball. The only information we have on this one is that Kimmy Petrovich ends up with an ace, a kill, and 2 digs. And the score looks like this. Central wins game 1, 25-5, 25-15 in game 2, 25-11 in game 3. So there you have it. A lot going on right there in good old action last Monday. Wow. Well, there was a lot of excitement that happened, and I want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C., and I just want to let you know that we are so excited to be able to be here to share with you all this great information and these great athletes that have worked very hard. And this next girl I'm about to talk about is someone who has done some amazing things in her career here in Franklin County. And boy, I'm excited to talk about her right now. Let's get to it. You know, Raegan Hickey has been a name that we've been bringing to you for a long time. Raegan Hickey did something very special this week. She hit, and she is the first Greenfield High School athlete to ever get 100 goals in field hockey. Now, she had 100 points last year, but early in this year, she's already got her 100 goals of her career. Let's talk about it for a minute. She did make senior history for her because she is the first player in school history to get that 100 goals in their 6-1 win over Smith Academy last Tuesday. Hickey entered the game 3 goals shy of her 100 and ends up scoring a hat trick. She did it. With 17 minutes and 30 seconds left in the second half, she ends up getting that special feat. You know, she honestly said that she was trying to pass the ball to Andre Brasciano, but it accidentally hit into the corner. And it went right through the goalie's pads. She said, hey, what a way for me to be able to get my 100th career goal. Hickey entered the season at 92 goals, which means that she only needed 8 goals to hit her 100, which she knew she was definitely going to do. But she did it very quick here in the season. And a nice job done by her. By the way, Hickey has become the first Franklin County player to score 100 goals since Pioneers' Shea Healy did it back in 2012. Okay, so we're talking a while ago before someone has done this. She's a great kid who works hard. She plays hard. She does everything that you ask her to do. That's what Coach Aaron Thayer said about Hickey. You know, to break this record is pretty special, and I'm going to tell you why. Because we've had some outstanding players that have come through the Greenfield program. Kelly Doughton, talented player. Went to Wake Forest, ends up doing well, now a coach in field hockey in college. How about Tara Jelly? Tara Jelly played for Greenfield. Tara Jelly played for the U.S. Olympic team. Tara Jelly is now the field hockey coach at Stanford University. I'm telling you right now, this girl has done some amazing things. And I'll tell you, it's only going to get better, because I'll tell you right now, when you think of people like Kelly Doughton and Tara Jelly and Jill Putnam, these girls were amazing players. And for her to come out and do what Raegan has done is a testament to how hard she works and how athletic she really is. When you go into the season with only 7 or 8 goals away from trying to hit that 100, you just want to get it out of the way. That's what Hickey said. She says, you know, we just want to get this done, move on, and get going. Thayer says, quote, when we had her as a varsity player in 7th grade, and she started to play and become a contributor to this team in 8th grade, to become the star that she's been able to come, and to have back-to-back Western Mass championships in her sophomore and junior years, and now going into her senior year, and their team is undefeated right now, says a lot about this program. Thayer also, I'm going to give her credit where credit's due. She's really good with these kids. She has a special group of kids right here. Aaron Thayer has done an amazing job as their head coach at GHS. So congratulations to my friend, Raegan Hickey. She surely is a great kid. Well, Frontier and Lauren Davenport, they ended up having a game of volleyball. They traveled out to Ludlow for a nice victory, and they did well. They end up winning 3-0. How about this? 19 aces in this victory for this team. They win game 1, 25-11. Game 2, 25-14. Game 3, 25-14. Their head coach, Sean McDonald, says it makes a whole game so much easier when everybody's serving well. Hopefully, we also can control the ball easier, which is what we did, and we were able to set up whenever we wanted to, and that's why this team won big in this win over Ludlow. Dean led Frontier with 8 aces. 6 of them came during an 8-point span that happened in the first set. She also picked up a kill, and Ludlow really struggled in this one. Also, Dean had a chance to say that she was really in a chill mindset. I love how kids say that, a chill mindset. I don't think of anything. I just focus on putting the ball in the court. Well, it turned out to be a nice win for Frontier. They, as of last Tuesday, end up 6-0 on the year. They are a team to reckon with. You know, one thing that I will say about this team is that they have a lot of talent as well, and this Frontier team will continue to do great things. Once again, Audrey Brusciano picks up a goal for Greenfield in that Smith Academy win. Katie Hazelton with 2 goals. Of course, we talked about Raegan Hickey picking up her 3 goals. Also had an assist in that night, too. Olivia Joy with an assist, and Sam Smith ends up with 6 saves. In that Ludlow Frontier volleyball match, Elizabeth Fuqua ends up with 3 aces and 12 assists, also 4 digs. Haley Orlowski ends up with an ace. Olivia Dean has 8 aces, 5 kills, and 2 digs. Sarah Zoli with an 8, a kill, and 2 digs. Riley Eisler ends up with an assist and 7 digs. Ashley Talega with 9 kills and 2 digs. Morgan Martineau with a kill and a dig. And Olivia Rosewarne had 10 aces. Amazing day for her, and 4 digs, where Frontier picked up that win over Ludlow last Tuesday. Girls soccer last Tuesday, it was the Franklin County Tech School getting beat by the Hamden Charter School of Science. Emily Merritt ends up with 8 saves on the day, and Abby Corey ends up with the lone goal for the Eagles. By the way, I wanted to share another nice thing that was really great. Over the summer, we had a chance to do a special interview with Amy O'Sullivan. She was a senior at Greenfield High School last year. Well, guess what, folks? She was recognized as the Massachusetts State Collegiate Athletic Conference Rookie of the Week after finishing 22nd overall at UMass Dartmouth's Invitational. O'Sullivan, who was that big star at Greenfield High School, ended up posting a time in a 5K of 19 minutes and 9 seconds. Rookie of the Week honors for the second week in a row. She has done an amazing job at her school, and people are so proud of what she's been able to do. And we, here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, wanted to be able to give you guys an update on one of our star athletes on what she was able to do in her first 2 meets of the year over at Westfield State University. Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. I want to welcome you here today. I want to say a big thank you to our underwriters here today. 4-Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Hubie's, the Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turner's Falls, and by Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Want to thank our producer, John Meisner, also our friend Philippe Simone for everything they do for us here at GCTV. And Chris Collins, thank you so much for all you do at the FCAT in South Deerfield. Well, let's get right back into it here. We're flying through, and we have a lot to talk about. We're now into Wednesday of last week. Well, Tess Rancourt, Lexi Williams, they scored the first 10 minutes of the second half, and the Mohawk Trail Regional Ladies end up edging Holyoke 3-2 in field hockey. The teams traded goals in the first half, and then it was a nice victory for Mohawk, one that they really needed. And if you talk to their head coach, Lynn Hopner, she says, quote, "I'm very happy on how we came out after halftime. We had outstanding play from our older girls, Isis Moon, Shelby Sinister, Abby Sinister, Caitlin Johnston, also by Taylor Williams. They really stepped up and led the younger girls. This is something that's very important, and quote, there was lots of communicating that was going on the field, and that was nice." Cordero Kendall ends up with 2 saves in the win. Nice job right there for the ladies of Mohawk, picking up that 3-2 win over Holyoke on Wednesday. Well, I'll tell you right now, things have gotten good for Pioneer. They picked up their first year field hockey program victory, and it was a nice job, 2-1. They ended up beating Amherst. It was a nice job for them. They have really worked hard this year, so congratulations to those ladies as well. Turner's Falls, Cassidy Wozniak scored 4 times, had an assist, leading Turner's Falls to a 7-0 win in field hockey over Palmer. The Thunder, as of last Wednesday, 5-1 on the year. Amber Taylor was also huge with another offensive effort. How about this? 3 goals and 1 assist. Bryn Chilla ended up chipping in an assist, and Haley Green ends up with 4 saves in the shutout. Well, Chicopee bottled up the Thunder in straight sets in volleyball. You know, they had a really strong start. I will say this about the Thunder. They really were on fire at the beginning of the year, and this one was one that stung, I think. I think it stung a little bit because they ended up getting beat, and it was on their home gym in Turner's Falls. They lost the first game, 25-15. They lost the second game, 25-10. They lost the third game, 26-24. According to their head coach, Kelly Lamatanian, she says, quote, "We need to learn to overcome adversity and fight when we're down. We need to not point fingers when things get difficult. We need to come together." And boy, that is so true. Great words right there by Coach Lamatanian. Haley Bogus, she ended up finishing with 5 assists and 1 ace for the Thunder. Dabney Rollins ended up with 2 kills and a block. Kenzie Martell ended up chipping in with 7 digs, and Lindsay Whiteman ends up with 6 digs. Turners, they end up having a tough loss at home against Chicopee last Wednesday. Well, Holyoke took out the Franklin County Tech. That was also in volleyball. They lost the first match. It was 25-13. Second game was 25-15, and then 25-13 in game 3. Kelly Trudeau ended up with 2 aces and 2 digs for the Eagles. It was a tough day for them, and they end up going 0-7 as of last Wednesday. South Hadley ends up beating Mohawk, and they ended up beating them in it looks like 3 sets, 3 games it was for this one. And it was 25-18, 25-13, 25-19. South Hadley picks up the win. Ashley Reynolds ended up with 6 digs, 1 kill, 1 ace, and 3 assists for Mohawk. Julia Massey ends up with 3 kills, 3 digs, 2 aces in the loss. Kayla Martin finished with 5 digs and 5 aces. Ellie Patnode ends up with 3 digs and 4 aces. Also, just to let you know that Greenfield, they ended up getting beat by Sabas. They lost game 1, 26-24, game 2, 25-8, and game 3, 25-17. Talesa Cooper ends up with 3 aces, 7 kills to pace Sabas, but Hannah Melu finished with 4 aces for Greenfield. Also, Zara Smith ends up with 2 aces. Caitlin Moore ends up with 7 digs in the loss for the Wave. Well, in golf, we do have a score for you that Greenfield ends up beating St. Mary's 20-4. We'll get the scores on that in just a moment. In boys cross country, it was Greenfield. They beat Hopkins and Palmer both in a tri-meet. Matter of fact, they had 4 teams that ended up meeting together for it. Greenfield wins all 3. They win against Hopkins, Palmer, and Smith Vocational. Tyson the Bombard, he finished 4th overall as Greenfield won 3 meets just in one day over in Hadley. LeBombard ends up crossing the line in 17 minutes and 8 seconds. Teammate Andy Bostrom ended up finishing 5th overall with a time of 17 minutes and 19 seconds. Dylan Badilio ends up 9th overall for the Wave with a time of 18 minutes and 6 seconds. Also in cross country, Pioneer gets beat by McCann Tech 23-36. They also get beat by the Hamden Charter School 25-32. They also lose to Pope Francis 15-50. I will say Noah DeRuiter ends up finishing 9th for Pioneer in the loss for Pioneer, but a nice job done by DeRuiter, who ends up placing in the top 10. In girls cross country, Greenfield takes on Palmer and ends up winning 18-38. They also beat Smith Vocational 15-45. Greenfield had the first 4 runners cross the finish line to win the pair of cross-country meets back on Wednesday in Hadley. Louisa Carmi ends up winning the race with a time of 20 minutes and 59 seconds. Teammate Candace Liu was 2nd at 22 minutes and 44 seconds. Also, Candace Sabadia ends up in 3rd place, 22 minutes and 55 seconds. And Joanna Gould ends up 4th, 23 minutes and 12 seconds. Morgan Blanchard finished 8th overall for the Wave with a time of 25 minutes and 5 seconds. Ashley Bowen was 10th at 27 minutes and 25 seconds. So congratulations goes out to our cross-country winners. Well, we do have some information on that St. Mary's and Greenfield golf match where Greenfield dominated 20-4. Can say that Ryan Cody ends up with a 39, Hunter Roberts with a 39, Danny Provost with a 43, Dylan Archer with a 44, Gabe LaRoche with a 45, and Cam Baird with a 48. In that matchup that they had in field hockey between Mohawk and Holyoke, Caitlin Johnston had a goal, Abby Sinister with 3 assists, Tess Rancourt with a goal, and Taylor Williams with a goal. We talked about that big matchup that we had between Palmer and Turners in girls field hockey. Want to let you know that Bryn Tila ended up with an assist in that one. We had plenty to say about Amber Taylor and Cassidy Wozniak. Also, we do have information on that Amherst Pioneer girls field hockey score. Jenny Fuller ends up picking up a goal, and Athena Fowler-Shaw ended up with 7 saves in the net for Pioneer. So there you go. A lot happening, a lot of fun, and we're excited to be able to say that we made it through Wednesday of last week here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. You know, there's been a lot of things that we've been able to chat about this week, and as you can see, we talk about so many different players. There's so many different kids who are contributing for each one of these teams. And that's why we put this together for you each and every week right here at GCTV here in Greenfield and also on the FCAT in South Deerfield. And I want to welcome you to the show. I am your host, Bobby C. Want to thank our producer, John Meisner, also Philippe Simone for having everything run right with all the cameras here. And by the way, if it wasn't for these fine underwriters, we wouldn't be here as well. Thank you so much to the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turners Falls, Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, and by Lisa Albert Hearing Services, 33 Bedell Street in Greenfield. Well, we're surely not done yet, folks. We still got a lot to go, and we're into Thursday of last week. And it was Jacob Quinn, Garrett Cody, netting second half goals as visiting Pioneer. They held off a very feisty Greenfield squad over at Vets Field in Greenfield. Final score was 3-0 on Thursday. Pioneer, now 3-1 overall, ends up with the nice win. And they took advantage of Greenfield's own problems that they had early, but Greenfield really stuck and hung in there after the tough year that they've had. But they got this new guy who has done an amazing job in the net for the Wave, and we're going to talk about him in just a moment. Quinn and Cody also added some insurance that happened after halftime. Jack Loud, also Felix Pruitt-Dow ended up recording assists. Ryan Underwood picked up the shutout in the net for Pioneer. According to Alex Carballo. Now, this guy right here has really done an amazing job. He came in about 3 games ago as their head guy, and Andy Rupp is really excited about this kid. You know, he said he's been very good. He's helped us out a lot. He played excellent tonight. He definitely helped keep us in the game. Rupp also said that inserting Carballo into the lineup was one of several changes that he had to make in this particular game, and it worked out to be a good one. You know, the one thing that they will say, and I got to give credit where credit's due, heart does matter. And the one thing about this Greenfield soccer team is they do have heart, and they do work hard. Andy Rupp should be very pleased at what he's been able to do with this group of guys. And also, you know, Pioneer is a very good team, and you got to give credit where credit's due. Pioneer is off to a very good start, and they are very talented. And they're right now sitting in a very good position to get ready to go back to the playoffs like they were last year. Greenfield's still trying to get things together. Got to remember now, this team hasn't won a game in a long time. It would be so nice if we can get Greenfield soccer to be able to get themselves on the winning side. It would be a great thing for their team. It would be great for their school, and it would be great for Coach Andy Rupp. Chicopee Comp ends up knocking off Frontier. And I'll tell you, if you ask Coach Evan Horton, he said he's very disappointed with the way our team played. It was a very sloppy game, and it's our fault. We didn't show up tonight. I have to give all the credit to Chicopee Comp. They were looking to get back. They were ready to play. We were not. Peter Bronke ended up with 6 saves in the net for Frontier. They got beat by Chicopee Comp. Franklin County Tech, they continue their winning ways with a nice 2-1 win over Pathfinder. But even though they won, and even though they've been doing well, their coach, Kurt Richardson, not happy. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Giovanni Reggiano scored a pair of second-half goals, and that's what helped his team out. But I will say that there were some issues that happened in that game. One of their players ends up getting a yellow card. Kurt Richardson said, I was not pleased with our team's effort. Matter of fact, to be straight up with you, this was the worst game that we've played in 2 years. We didn't deserve to win. Pathfinder, without 2 starters, they came out and we got lucky to be able to leave that game with a victory. Grayson Funk did not register a save. Guess that means that the guys did a nice job keeping the ball out of that area, which is nice to see. But Coach Richardson, even though his team won, was not happy in that win over Pathfinder. Well, as we take a look and see what we have for girls soccer, we could say that Palmer ended up beating Frontier. Final score was 5-1. According to their head coach, Phil Patelli, he says, quote, our lack of communication was our downfall. Cambry Hamilton ended up scoring in the 71st minute for the lone goal for Frontier. which as of last Thursday, 2-3 on the season. Also, there was an assist that was credited to Tori Speth. Also, their goalkeepers, Samara Green and Emily Joy Sullivan, each combined for 7 saves in that one. They end up losing a tough one to Palmer. Well, as we slide into Thursday, it was a nice win for Greenfield as they beat Turner's Falls in boys golf. Final score was 18-6. Also, we have a golf score of the Tech School beating Mohawk 13-11. We'll get into those scores of all those players in just a moment. Also, Greenfield, big win over West Springfield. Audrey Brusciano had a goal and 2 assists to celebrate her birthday back last week. So happy birthday goes out to the one and only Audrey Brusciano back on Thursday. Hope she had a great day. The Wave continued their winning ways, undefeated on the season. Raegan Hickey, of course, she ends up getting her 100th goal, and that was in the game that she had earlier in the week. She ended up adding to her career numbers with a couple more goals. Also, Raquel Provost ends up with a goal and assist. 8th grader Liliana Kacklemeyer notched her first varsity goal for the Wave. Nice job, Lily. Lily Kacklemeyer picking up her first ever varsity goal for the Wave. And Maddie Kacheski and Katie Hazelton each chipped in with an assist. Sam Smith ends up with 5 saves in the net for the goal for the Green Wave, who ends up continuing their winning ways 5-1 over West Springfield on Thursday. And great job, Lily Kacklemeyer. Girls volleyball, Frontier over West Springfield. Another match, another sweep for Frontier. The Red Hawks survived opening tightness there in that one with a nice 25-22 win in Game 1. It was 25-19 in Game 2, 25-17 in Game 3. So very good matchup right there. Here we go. Let's run down some numbers for Frontier. Lauren Davenport has 10 kills and 7 aces and tops on the team in both categories. Frontier, 7-0 on the season as of Thursday. Olivia Dean, Riley Eisner each had 4 aces, while Sarah Zoli, Ashley Talega each had 3 aces apiece. Dean ended up with 6 kills. Talega tossed in 3. Morgan Martineau, Haley Orlowski, and Elizabeth Fuqua ends up with 2 each. Fuqua also finished with 14 assists. Olivia Rosewarne had 7 assists. Dean's big night turned out to be pretty special. Eisner contributed with 6 digs. Davenport had 5, and Dean ended up with 8. Well, it's a big matchup for Frontier. We'll talk about that game that was played back on Friday. We'll talk about that one. All right, let's run down those scores for golf. Remember, we have those individual medalists and everything else. Here we go. Franklin County Tech over Mohawk, 13-11. Medalist for Franklin County Tech, Mike McGoldrick with a 45. For Mohawk, Tristan Lacrosse with a 47. Will Guyette for Mohawk, 47. Ben Thompson for Mohawk with a 48. Nate Pelletier for Franklin County Tech with a 49. Andy Robertson for Mohawk with a 49. Then Anthony Zager for the Tech with a 55. Mike Patnode for the Tech with a 58. Jacob Shaw for the Tech with a 58. Ryan Artis for the Franklin County Tech with a 61. And Aiden Drury for Mohawk with a 68. So 13-11, great matchup right there between the Tech and Mohawk in boys golf. And on Thursday, we talked about Greenfield beating Turner's 18-6. Your medalist was Ryan Cody for Greenfield with a 41. Gabe LaRoche for Greenfield with a 42. Cam Baird for Greenfield with a 46. Alex Sulda for Turners with a 46. Brady Buska for Turners with a 48. Hunter Roberts for Greenfield with a 49. Joey Mosca for Turners with a 49. Danny Provost for Greenfield with a 50. Brian Poirier for Turners Falls with a 50. Jake Cody for Greenfield with a 53. Aiden Bailey for Turners Falls with a 53. And Tyler Noyes for Turners with a 58. So there you go. And what about the second part of our show that we talked about? Another star athlete ends up shattering a course record. We talked about Raegan Hickey, top of the show. Told you how great she is. Everybody knows how great she is. What about this girl, Meghan Davis? We interviewed her over the summer. You know what? She broke the record. It was a 15-year-old record that she was able to break. It's a 2.55-mile course up in Buckland. Nearly getting there a week ago, Meghan Davis shattered the mark by almost 16 seconds, lifting the Warriors to a 21-34 victory over Munson in girls cross country. Davis's time of 15 minutes and 42 seconds, well under the course record of 15 minutes and 57.9 seconds by Rita Marcotte of Mohawk back in 2003. You know, this girl is an amazing talent, and she is just going to continue to do that. Their coach, Coach Chadwick, says she came so close last week. She knew that she was running out of time to get it done. Well, guess what? She did it. You can see that Meghan had the look on her face that today was the day that record. And boy, she broke it all right by almost 16 seconds. Davis, she absolutely crushed it. How bad? She won the race over everyone else by nearly 3 minutes. Can you believe that? This girl literally was running by herself through the woods. 3 minutes ahead of everybody else. This girl is an amazing runner. I just want you to know something about Meghan Davis, folks. You need to hear me out on this one. She won Western Mass. She won states. She won New England's. She went to the national championships last year. This girl has a huge, huge future ahead of her. Meghan Davis, Raegan Hickey. Awesome job, ladies. And Lily Kacklemeyer picking up her first career goal as an 8th grader in field hockey for GHS. It's been a great week so far, hasn't it? Mohawk ends up winning that match against Mahar 24-33. They end up losing to Munson 22-35 in the boys, and Munson ends up beating Mahar 19-41. So in the boys' race, Dennis Simmons became the 48th runner to break 51 years to break a 15-minute mark at Mohawk. So congratulations to Dennis Simmons as well. Another kid getting it done. So Mohawk really does have great running. They always have. When it comes to running, whether it's cross country, whether it's track and field, they have the talent. And what about Coach Chadwick, the winningest coach of all time in the state of Massachusetts? And you got to hear it right here on the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Well, we're sliding into Friday because, you know, time is cruising by here quick here, folks. So let's just get right to it. In an epic showdown, it was Frontier taking on Westboro. Battle of two defending state champions. You want to talk about a battle in good old volleyball? It was a battle. Let's talk about it right now. This was really, truly everything you wanted in a volleyball match. Frontier gets beat in game 1, 18-25. They win game 2, 25-12. They lose game 3, 25-19. They win game 4, 25-20. Then they lose the 5th and deciding game, 16-14 to this Westboro team. 2 defending champions, 2 teams undefeated going in, and it was a tough loss. But you know what? When you talk to Coach Sean McDonald, he said, hey, it was a tough match to lose to the Division II state champs in 5 sets on the road, but it was a great match to help us prepare for November. This is where this guy looks at November, getting ready now. Play the best. Take on anybody, anytime, anywhere. Sean McDonald knows how to get it done at Frontier. Lauren Davenport belted 12 kills for Frontier. Elizabeth Fuqua had 21 assists. Riley Eisner ended up with 26 digs. Great effort for their team. Tough loss, though, on the road to a very talented Westboro team. Ware ends up beating the Franklin County Tech. They did it in straight sets. Here we go. Let's run it down for you. 25-7, 25-15, 25-6. Tech School gets beat. Summer Gadro ends up with an ace, 2 kills and 3 digs for the Tech School. Renee Reed also played well for the Franklin County Tech, recording a kill and assist in 3 digs. And Chantel Bardsley and Emily Miner each finished with 2 kills for the Tech School. Well, for the second time in just a couple of nights, turned out to be a tough one on Friday. Turners Falls girls volleyball got beat by Lee 3-0. Taylor Murphy notched 2 kills to go along with 8 digs for Turners Falls. The Thunder ends up getting beat. They lost game 1, 25-14, game 2, 25-11, game 3, 25-7. Lindsay Whiteman ended up with 4 digs and an ace for Turners Falls, and they ended up losing 2 consecutive games in a row. Chicopee ends up beating Mohawk back on Friday of last week, and it was Ashley Reynolds who ends up with 4 kills to go along with 7 assists and 6 digs to pace Mohawk. They end up losing game 1, 25-22, game 2, 25-18, game 3, 25-11. Jordan Rice played well for Mohawk as well. She added 11 digs and an ace. Also, Kayla Martin finished with 3 kills, also 3 assists, 5 digs, 2 aces in the loss. Well, in field hockey, it was a nice win for Frontier. They knocked off Agawam. Final score was 2-1. Olivia Vasilio and Emily DeMeo each scored a goal. They did it all in the first half and pulled off the victory. According to their coach, Missy Mahar, she says, quote, "I was happy with the way that we came back and played after we played yesterday. It was nice to see the girls play well, execute the game plan. It was the way that we need to play. They played with much more efficiency." Lily Spencer added an assist for Frontier in support of their goalkeeper, Skylar Berniski, who earned the win as she turned away 3 shots for the Red Hawks. Greenfield girls, no problem with a big victory over Turners Falls in field hockey back on Friday. Final score was 9-1. Raegan Hickey scores 4 goals, added an assist. Unbelievable. This team is so good. The Wave undefeated on the year, and they beat a very good Turners team, by the way. Final score again was 9-1. Also, we can run down some other information for you as well. The Wave scored 6 first-half goals. Hickey ended up finding the back of the net 3 times. Olivia Joy, also Kayla Eggswar, and Katie Hazelton each recorded a goal. Joy also added a couple more goals in the second half. Sam Smith only had the stop, 4 shots in the net for Greenfield. Cassidy Wozniak had the lone goal for Turners Falls on a pass from Amber Taylor. Haley Green ended up stopping 12 shots on the day. Nice job by Haley Green. Boy, they really peppered the net. If you think about it, if Greenfield scored 9 and she saved 12, wow, this game was definitely dominated by the Wave. Well, we could say that Quabog ended up beating Mohawk in girls field hockey. That was back on Friday. Final score was 3-0. The bottom line is Quabog really dominated this one. Cordell Kendall totaled 8 saves in the net for the Warriors. Isis Moon recorded a defensive save. Once again, very tough. Loss for the Mohawk Warriors. Final score, 3-0 to Quabog. In girls soccer, Franklin County girls ended up tying Dugan. Final score was 1-1. Vanessa Marino ended up scoring the goal in the second half for the Tech School. So Tech School ends up tying Dugan 1-1. Well, Mohawk girls, they ended up tying against Smith Vocational 1-1. Aileen Moffitt notched the game-tying second half goal. So that turned out to be pretty nice for them to be able to hang in. And they also had some nice work that was done by the Warriors goalie. That's right. Emily Rowell ends up really playing well in the net for Mohawk, ends up with 13 saves on the day. Great job. Well, in golf, it was Turners Falls beating the Tech School 14.5 to 9.5. We'll run down how that went. Also, McCann Tech ends up beating Mohawk in golf 16.5 to 7.5, which I do have that information that I will get ready for you on. and then we'll start getting into our football, because we do have a lot of football action that happened as well. But let's run down some golf here, let you know exactly how that all rolled out. We do have a few scores that we want to share with you on our golf teams. Let's get right to it right now. Here we go. In the Tech game, Turner's Falls ends up beating the Tech School 14.5 to 9.5. Your medalists, it was Joey Mosca and Mike McGoldrick. Mosca from Turner's, McGoldrick from the Tech School. Nate Pelletier with a 43 for the Tech. Brady Buska with a 45 for Turner's. Alex Sulda for Turner's with a 45. Mike Patnode for the Tech School with a 49. Brian Poirier for Turner's with a 50. Aiden Bailey, Turner's Falls with a 50. Anthony Zager for the Tech School with a 51. Tyler Noyce for Turner's with a 56. Ryan Artis, a 56 for the Tech School. Jacob Shaw for the Tech School with a 56. All right, let's run down what we have for our other golf match between McCann Tech and Mohawk. Your guys from Mohawk who did well in the loss: Will Guyette with a 51, Tristan Lacrosse with a 53, Ben Thompson with a 57, Andy Robertson with a 60, Aiden Drury with a 64. All right. Now, we got to run down some football scores for you here, folks, that happened on the gridiron. Here we go. Red Hawks, they held off the Panthers of Palmer. Final score was 20-14. Right now, Frontier 2-1 on the year. Of course, they ended up with that nice victory that they had over Greenfield a week ago. So a nice job right there for Frontier as they end up getting some good play in that one. Garrett DeForest ends up with a 43-yard run. Also, we have DeForest with a 6-yard run in the third quarter. Hildreth ends up with a 2-yard run for Frontier in the fourth quarter. Turned out to be a nice day. How about this? DeForest ends up with a very solid game. 21 carries, 202 yards. Josh Samaski, nice young freshman, 9 carries, 72 yards on the day. Passing for Hildreth, he went 0 for 4 in that one. So there you go. Lombardi ends up for Palmer having a nice game. And we just wanted to let you know that it was a nice victory for the Red Hawks. East Hampton ends up blowing out the Franklin County Tech in football. Yep, final score was 19-2. Tough day for the Eagles. Their quarterback ends up leaving the game with a separated shoulder after going 6 for 20 and 81 yards. By the way, Bailey Young struggled to find any kind of wiggle room against this East Hampton line, and it turned out to be a tough day for them. Matter of fact, Bailey Young, 23 carries, only 41 yards. So I'll tell you, going to be a good matchup this upcoming week when the Tech School takes on Greenfield. We'll have to see how that turns out for next week. Well, it was a huge day for a guy by the name of Wyatt Keith. He and the Turner's Falls Thunder end up crashing the Green Wave. Final score in this one was 35-8. Wow, this kid ended up having a game. How about this? 29 carries, 235 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day. Keith was on fire, and he surely was the dominant player in this game. Greenfield ended up having a couple of nice things that happened in there. You know, Phelps did okay. He was 10 for 15, 125 yards, quarterback for Greenfield. R.J. Bird, who normally does well against Turners, check this out, held the 20 yards on 15 carries. He was definitely not dominant in this game at all. A couple of guys did a nice job receiving for Greenfield. That was Hunter Campbell and also Nooney. And I'll tell you, Nooney Vega had a great game for the Wave as well. Dodge did a great job too. Excellent job by their quarterback. Finished 6 for 9 passing, 52 yards. He also added a really nice touchdown that he got for an interception as well. So it turned out to be a very dominating game. And Vega ends up with 6 receptions, 80 yards. Campbell, 3 catches for 35 yards. Turners picks up the win. All right. Smith Vocational ends up handing a hard loss to Mohawk on Saturday. Final score was 39-14. And one more thing we want to share with you before we wrap things up for you, and that was one last score that we had on Saturday. That was girls soccer. Frontier took on Hopkins. They won 4-1 with 4 second-half goals. Cambry Hamilton ends up with a goal, Natalie Denkowitz with a goal, Maddie Crocker with a goal, and Jenna Martin with a goal for the Red Hawks. So there you have it. It's all done. Franklin County Varsity Sports Report wrapping up for yet another week. And don't forget, we want to thank our underwriters one last time, the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston, also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, by Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant Avenue A in Turners Falls. For John Meisner, for Philippe Simone, I'm Bobby C., and thank you for joining us for another week of the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Do me one favor, support your local athletes.